From the fast action of the trading pit to the power brokers making the headlines, you'll hear it all on the Traders Network Show with your host, Michael Yorba.
All right.
Michael interviews the front page titans about the latest in trading tools and market trends in stocks, commodities, bonds, forex, and derivatives. The Traders Network helps you stay ahead of the curve and delivers tomorrow's trade today.
Yeah.
Now, here's your host, Michael Yorba.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, I have got Daniel Teper, CEO, Immune Pharmaceuticals, on the show with us today. Symbol on that company is IM, as in Mary, N as in number, and P as in Paul, IMNP. And Daniel comes to us with well over 20 years in the industry, some of the highest ranking companies in his sector. And let me stop for a minute. And Daniel, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
It's a pleasure to be on the show.
All right, you have got a real depth to your knowledge in this industry sector, the pharmaceutical industry sector, but also the breadth of management skills that you bring to the leadership of this company. Would you mind terribly if we started off by talking about your background, the man driving, steering the ship, and then get into what Immune Pharmaceutical does in a second?
Sure. So I've been over 20 years in the industry in diversity of roles. I've been on the sales and marketing side. I've been in the drug development side. I've been in general management position. More recently, I've advised a number of multinational companies, but also public biotech companies. Last few days, the news were about, Cubist, and last year, Pharma got acquired by Shire. Those are, two companies that, work closely with. So I'm happy to bring that experience of Wall Street sales and marketing and drug development into Immune Pharmaceuticals, which is listed on the NASDAQ and is an exciting new company.
Right. Recently uplisted to the NASDAQ.
Correct.
Tell us, if you will, Immune Pharmaceuticals, what their main focus is, their product mix, and we'll just walk right through how they're helping humanity.
Sure. So Immune Pharmaceuticals, I started the company about 4 years ago, built a portfolio of drugs which are in clinical stage of development for the most part, focused on the segment of the industry called monoclonal antibodies. That was a Nobel Prize over 20 years ago, and it's now 5 of the top 10 drugs on the market, including Humira from AbbVie and Remicade from Johnson & Johnson. So our vision was to build the next great company in that field. We're privileged to license bertoluimab, which we also call BERT, which is a monoclonal antibody that was developed by the same company that 15 years ago developed Humira. And we started from there. We acquired a U.S. public company a year ago, traded on the OTC for 1 year, and uplisted last August to the NASDAQ.
All right, you have got some really good news about the revenues in 2015. Without breaking any of the rules, can you give us an insight into that?
Sure. I mean, that's actually public information in our filings. We have a drug called Amicat for neuropathic pain. That's pain that's associated with shingles, diabetes, and cancer treatment. So that's a multi-billion-dollar market. The leading drugs in that market are Lidoderm from Endo and Neurontin from Pfizer. Well, we have a drug that has been in over 1,500 patients, trials that included over 1,500 patients, with very positive results. It's a topical drug, so the side effect profile is quite favorable. And what's interesting is, in addition to being very well tolerated, it's also very effective, because it showed equivalent efficacy to the highest dose of the leading oral drug. So this we've decided to partner in early 2015. We have several leading companies interested, and the partnering process in the pharmaceutical industry is that although we're still a few years away, probably 2 to 3 years away from the market, is that you receive the upfront payment, milestones, and obviously when the drug is on the market, you receive royalties. So, we expect to receive, based on estimated peak sales of over $500 million, we expect to receive significant upfront payment in 2015, and then in following years, milestones and royalties.
Okay. Now, I'm not familiar with all of the potential partners that you have out there, but it sounds to me as though they're not just domestic here; they are actually international in scope. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we have a mix of, I would say, a few multinational companies, U.S.-based, public specialty pharma companies that focus on the pain space, and a few large European companies.
Okay. You just touched on the market potential. Would you mind terribly if we drill down into that a little bit and give our audience a full flavor of the real market potential for immune pharmaceuticals and the drugs that you're bringing out?
Sure. So beyond Amicat, which has the potential to be $500 million to $1 billion, Lidoderm, currently the market leader, has had peak sales of $1.2 billion, just to put things in perspective. So our main drug, bertoluimab, which is a monoclonal antibody, shares at least one of the markets with Humira and Remicade. That's the Crohn's and colitis market. And Humira and Remicade each have a few $1 billion in sales, in that market. And we believe that we have a next generation product. The main difference that we have with the market leaders is that we can select the right patients for the drug. We target a protein which is responsible for part of the inflammatory process, and patients that overexpress that protein are candidates for the treatment. So that's obviously, if it's confirmed in clinical trials, this is game changing, and we can be a player in this multi-billion-dollar market as well. So that's one of the indication, and we're doing a phase 2 clinical trials in 2015, 2016. We're also targeting a rare disease. It's also called orphan disease. It's a disease of the skin, autoimmune disease of the skin called bullous pemphigoid. It is blisters that form on the skin of patients as a follow-on of an autoimmune injury. Well, that rare disease, is about 30,000 patients in North America and Europe. That's about the size of the cystic fibrosis market. There's very few alternatives from a treatment standpoint, typically high-dose corticosteroids. So there's a great medical need. So in that particular segment, we can expect sales upon successful clinical trials in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, if you're familiar with companies that market orphan drugs, just mention BioMarin, which is, I believe, about $12 billion in market cap. Their multiples of sales are 10 to 15 times sales. So again, based on success in that orphan indication, our lead product would have potential sales of hundreds of millions of dollars, which obviously would support a very significant valuation. We have several other indications that we'll be looking at in 2016 and beyond. So we have in bertoluimab a potential blockbuster for the industry, which could join the 5 monoclonal antibodies that are part of the top 10 drugs worldwide today. So when you put that in perspective to where we are today, we're below $100 million in market cap. It is quite an exciting opportunity for investors, obviously, with an upside in the next, significant upside in 1 to 2 years. But at the same time, obviously, we're addressing serious medical problems where patients, are desperately looking for new options. So, patients that have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or bullous pemphigoid, or even neuropathic pain are really looking for new drugs, and we're in a unique position to help move those drugs through development and make them available to physicians and patients.
Let's do this, if I may, Daniel. Let's take a break, a pause here, and then drill down into personalized medicine on the other side of our commercial break, all right?
Sure.
All right. Now, contact information for you, because you've brought some great topics to the surface here. ImmunePharmaceuticals.com, and the symbol is IMNP. Is there any other contact information you want to get out to the listening audience?
Anna Baran, Anna is the head of investor relations and corporate communication, so she can be contacted at the company.
Perfect. All right, we'll be right back on the other side of this break. All right, Daniel? Thank you. A special thanks to 1-800-PublicRelations.com for all their PR and media support. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.
Attention men and women, are you suffering from back pain, neck pain, or joint discomfort? Would you like to learn of a non-surgical solution? Call American MedFix at 972-591-6675. That number again, 972-591-6675, to receive free info on how you may qualify for natural creams that may provide you with the relief you are seeking. All products are 100% made in the USA. Call now, 972-591-6675, or visit AmericanMedFix.com.
I'm Dr. James, founder of Diamond Physicians, a concierge medicine practice located in Dallas, Texas. Our Diamond 360 Advanced Physical Exam has been created for people like you who live a high-stress, fast-paced life. Every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. experiences a life-changing heart attack or debilitating stroke. Negative stress tests and normal cholesterol levels do not exclude you. Half of all fatal heart attacks occur without warning. Diamond goes beyond traditional medicine with the Diamond 360 Advanced Physical Exam, proven to prevent heart attacks, strokes, and diabetes. Contact Diamond now at 214-395-3491. That's 214-395-3491. Or visit our website at diamondphysicians.com to take the Diamond Challenge. If your Diamond 360 reveals perfect health, receive a full refund. Your loved ones will thank you.
The Garage is a business accelerator and investment fund looking for new ideas in technology, manufacturing, and consumer goods. Our 90-day intensive workshops, taught by entrepreneur mentors, are focused on one thing: helping you make money faster. Each week, you'll experience a class taught by successful entrepreneurs with the guidance of experienced mentors in your field. We get you to revenue faster and help you find investors when the time is right. To learn why we're different, go to workthegarage.com. That's workthegarage.com.
It's been called the most intense and hard-fought games in all of college sports.
Head fakes from 15, throws in the corner, Turner for three, bullseye.
From every close game to every blowout, it's all right here on the Red Raider Sports Network.
The Red Raider basketball team takes on Fresno State Wednesday, December 10th. Tip-off is at 8. The pregame show starts at 7:30 here on Talk Radio 1190.
This holiday season, give the most eternal, unique gift of the year. Name a star after someone. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we'll name a star after anyone on your gift list. The star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office, and we will send an incredible personalized gift package. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for the gift that shines forever.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. I've got Daniel Teper. He is the CEO of Immune Pharmaceuticals, symbol IMNP. And Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here with you.
Thank you. All right, we were speaking on the previous segment about the different drugs, the market penetration that you're looking at, and just the huge amount of windfall capital that should be coming to your company very shortly. One of the things that I wanted to drill in on today is the personalized medicine, the right drug for the right patients. Can you shed some light on that for us?
Sure. I mean, in the 1990s, drugs were for everybody that had the condition. And unfortunately, about half of the patients responded to the drug, and some didn't tolerate the drug very well. And the last 10, 15 years has seen significant progress in personalized medicine, particularly in cancer. So the drug Herceptin from Genentech Roche basically is given to women with breast cancer that overexpress the protein HER2. So you would say you're restricting your market. Actually, you're not, because Herceptin is over $6 billion in sales and works very well in that group of women. So it's well reimbursed and it's very predictable in its efficacy. So what we're trying to do at Immune Pharmaceuticals is bring similar concepts to the treatment of inflammatory and autoimmune diseases, as well as cancer, but I would focus, first on autoimmune diseases. So, if you take, Crohn's disease, 50 to 60% of patients respond to drugs like Remicade and Humira. The potential advantage that we have with our drug, bertoluimab, is that you can identify the patients that overexpress a protein called eotaxin-1, which has been shown in an NIH study to be one of the key proteins associated with the severity of the disease. So in our clinical trials, we select only the patients that have moderate to severe disease and high expression of that protein, therefore maximizing the chance of clinical success.
When you say maximizing the success, can you give us some idea of the effectiveness that you're talking about?
Well, I mean, we don't have the results of the clinical trials yet, but we know that one of the key protein responsible for the inflammation in those patients is the one that we're targeting. So that's why we're talking about maximizing the probability of success.
Okay. And novel targeting systems for cancer drugs. We're just now getting into the subject, but I'd like you to bring that out more, because you've got a array of 3 different products that we're talking about, and I'd like to hear more about that.
Sure. So we have a longer-term, pipeline in the area of cancer, and basically we've brought together nanotechnology and biotechnology in a system that allows to deliver cancer drugs specifically into the cancer cells. It's a technology that was developed originally at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. It's a very advanced technology. If you're familiar with a company called Seattle Genetics, which is listed on the NASDAQ, they've developed antibody-drug conjugate, where you put toxins right on the antibody and they go right into the cell. So we believe that we have potentially the next generation of targeted therapy for cancer, whereby you can incorporate a cancer drug in a nanoparticle, and thanks to the antibody, directly take it into, like in a space shuttle, take it directly into the cancer cell. So it is very interesting, because it allows to maximize efficacy and minimize the side effects, which we know the toxicity of cancer drug is quite significant. It's also been suggested that if it allows to give smaller dose of cancer treatment, it may minimize the risk of resistance, which is one of the reasons physicians have to switch from one treatment to another treatment or give multiple drugs to cancer patients. So that's a very exciting technology, and we believe that we'll be able to bring several drugs to the clinical stage in the coming years.
Yes, I can tell. I'm nowhere near adept at the subject as you are, obviously, but it sounds like you're really doing great work there. The comparable companies, you've mentioned several of them throughout the interview. How do you stack up next to them? Can we talk about that?
Sure. I mentioned Seattle Genetics, which is a much bigger company than we are at this point in time. But I would say, our goal in the next 1 to 2 years is to join a group of antibody companies like Merrimack, Macrogenics, Oncomed, which basically are in the $500 million to $1 billion valuation, and have several products in the clinic around the phase 2 stage of phase 3 stage of development.
The milestones that Immune Pharmaceuticals has achieved, let's bring those out for the audience.
Well, there's milestones that we've achieved and then milestones that we expect in 2015, 2016.
Right.
So clearly we went from a startup company to becoming a public company to being listed on NASDAQ. We acquired several drugs. We manufactured those drugs. We brought them to clinical trials. We'll bring one drug to partnering stage. So that's quite a lot when you're starting from zero, starting as a new company. But I think more importantly, we want to look at what the milestones are in the next 12 to 18 months, and obviously those milestones are catalysts for the IMNP stock. So we're working on the partnering of Amiket, the drug for neuropathic pain. Mm-hmm. That's a significant catalyst in early 2015. We have clinical trials for which we expect results in 2015 and 2016. One clinical trial in an orphan indication. And orphan indication, often are fast-tracked by the FDA towards commercialization. And another clinical trial in ulcerative colitis, which, as I mentioned, the leading drugs currently are Remicade and Humira. So it's a very large market with still significant unmet medical needs.
If I may, where do you see yourself as in market share with these breakthrough drugs that you're talking about?
Well, in the orphan indication, bullous pemphigoids, currently there's no alternative to corticosteroids. So we believe that based on positive data, the adoption will be quite rapid. In Crohn's and colitis, there are drugs on the market, and they're disease modifying. So they improve patients not just on the symptoms, but on the course of the disease. So it will depend on the strength of our data. But as I said, before, half of the patients do not respond to the leading, drugs initially, and some lose the response after a year. So there's, plenty of need for new drugs.
The horizon for new drugs, you brought that up, and I wanted to drill down in there. Are there other forms of cancer and diseases that you're currently looking at to add to the portfolio?
Specifically, your question about cancer,
yeah.
Our platform works for drugs in essentially all type of solid tumors and hematological cancers. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on the combination of the antibody that targets specific tissues and cancer cells, and the cancer drug that you incorporate into to the nanoparticle. So I said the beauty of the platform is that it can generate one drug, 5 drugs, 10 drugs, or 100 drugs over time. And that also means that we're uniquely positioned to partner with pharmaceutical and biotech companies to co-develop several drugs in the coming years.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you very much. Now, we're near the end of our interview. Are there any physical events where you or your team are going to be out where people can come hear more about what these discoveries that you've made and what you're planning on doing in the future?
Sure. I mean, we do participate in investor conferences throughout the year. We'll be at the J.P. Morgan conference in January. That's usually the start of the year for the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. We're also on the roads throughout the U.S. and talking to groups of investors and to brokers and to institutional investors. So we're very accessible to people that want to learn about the company.
Perfect. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Daniel Teper, CEO, Immune Pharmaceuticals, immunepharmaceuticals.com, symbol IMPN. And special thanks to 1-800-publicrelations.com for all their PR and media support. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you.
You're welcome.